Our next guest is looking at markets through the lens of basketball. Tom Lee, Fundstrat Global Advisors Managing Partner and Head of Research, says granny shots, you know those underhanded free throws, well, they may not look good, but they score big points. So tell us what your granny shot stock picks are.
So granny shots are thematic-based stock picks. So we have three general thematic views about the next few years. One is millennials, another's on AI, another's around automation and asset heavy. And then we have some tactical portfolios. And what Granny Shots is doing is taking stocks that appear in multiple lists. So we think it's improving your chances of picking outperforming stocks. That's why it's not cool, because we're not using like one cool model, but it's higher reward risk opportunities.
So basically you want to increase the chances that the stock is going to do well. And the analogy you used, you were looking at Rick Barry, who was a player who threw like basically underhanded, right? Versus other players who don't have, like a Shaquille O'Neal.
So mechanically, the best type of free throw to do is underhanded, because it's the best way to do it from a physics perspective. And he is, one of the best free thrower percentage in history. And he doesn't look cool when he does it.
Right.
When he did it.
Your risk is at a metric that's perhaps better than playing the safe game. And usually that metric is 1.9%. But you're identifying perhaps stocks or sectors where that risk premium is actually 3.5%. So it's a better bet.
Yeah, that's right. It's basically saying you're paid to take the risk because you've got a cushion against a loss. And that's why when risk premia is high, it means stocks are essentially better bets than bonds. So an example would be like Ameriprise. It's actually a good way to play what will likely happen with millennials, because millennials are going to become quite credit intensive over the next 20 years. Part of it is, because they're going to start buying cars, houses, they're going to inherit $68 trillion. And so companies that are, is volume sensitive in credit will actually do quite well. So that's why Ameriprise on there, I think JP Morgan and a few others. But there's also a tactical element. So some of these, I know that Brown-Forman is what we consider a 6-month holding, meaning in the next 6 months, the sector that it's in tends to outperform. So we do tactical plus thematic. Clearly, this is going to have a big influence on equities, because you have to remember $68 trillion transferring from one single 20-year generation is equal to the wealth of the entire country of China and Japan combined. So it's monstrous amounts of money. And it's at a time when their consumption profile is growing. So I think the odds of equity returns being better in the next 10 years than the last 10 are quite high. So in other words, we had a great move from 2009 to 2019. I think stocks from 2020 to 2030 could do even better. Let's say taxes are uncertainty that they raise taxes in the next 10 years, and it's likely. The return on bonds is going to look even worse. And so you want to own something that will outperform the tax hit plus inflation plus growth, and that is basically stocks, or real assets like real estate. So I think heavy assets plus equities will be real standouts in the next decade.
All right.
All right, Tom Lee, Managing Partner and Head of Research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, with how some people can make a living, and not a bad one at that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you.